It's all good.
So Esme tonight is going to be talking about her uh, colorful origami, an intersection of art, math, and California native plants. Um, as a volunteer with Latino Outdoors, Esme relishes the opportunity to connect with the Latinx community with native plants or learn how they are doing so already. As a new home gardener, Esme is experiencing all the ups and downs of learning, but also the opportunity to closely observe, interact, and grow alongside our native plant kin. She hopes to be able to fold all of these experiences into her California native creative visual work. So, Esme, take it away.
Thank you so much. And yes, there will be a lot of origami puns today. They're very amenable to lots of puns. Thank you so much, Leslie. And yeah, I'm really excited to take on the role of programs coordinator for our Sacramento chapter of CNPS. Such a great community. I'm just happy to be a part of it and help out. So with that, I'm hopefully going to hit the right screen for sharing. Please let me know if I am sharing the right, if you see my first slide, Califlorigami. Is it there? Yeah? Okay, cool. Awesome. So we'll get started. Uh, I just want to say I hope everybody is safe and dry. What a time, right? It's the water that we need is here, but in a way that is really impacting so many folks. And, those of us who are safe and dry, hopefully we can lend a helping hand, donate where possible, and also just keep spreading the word, right, about how native plants and native plant landscaping and just restoring so many impacted habitats can help mitigate a lot of these effects. Um, so yeah, just wishing the best for everybody and thank you for being here. Um, with that, I'll get started. Um, Again, Leslie said about me, I am a Bay Area native currently residing in Sacramento, ancestral intended lands of the diverse tribes of Ohlone and Maidu Nation folks respectively. I like to say that I carry in me the San Francisco Bay tides and coastal fog, the oak and bay woodlands, redwood forests, coastal scrub, waves on the shore, rolling chaparral hills. And I'm currently learning more about grasslands, vernal pools, valley oaks, blue oaks, and river watersheds around me here in Sacramento. I love to look for the diverse life that survives despite our urbanized creeks, fragmented habitats, and landfilled marshes. And I work as an environmental educator, community advocate, and artist crafter. And I am also part of the UC California Naturalist Alumni Network and regular volunteer with Latino Outdoors. And I really recommend the UC California Naturalist course. What a great community to be a part of. So you are my captive audience and I don't get to talk about origami a lot. So here we go. Origami, what is it? It's using a series of folds to achieve desired forms and maybe as old as the invention of paper itself. It has origins in China, but the Japanese name stuck, ori, meaning folding, and kami, meaning paper. As far as recent or folks that have really impacted the art, Akira Yoshizawa is considered the father of modern origami, who made a lot of innovations in the craft, taking it from some standard, very geometric shapes to more lifelike shapes. Um, in Germany, the father of kindergarten, Friedrich Froebel, had children folding paper and called in these patterns called folds of life, folds of truth, and folds of beauty. South America had a master paper folder who published several books on the subject. And Robert Lang is a US physicist and origami artist, considered one of the leading theorists on the mathematics of origami. Origami is for everybody. It's for, young children. I'm sure a lot of you, probably the last time maybe you did it was in grade school or middle school, high school. But it's for everybody. It's for young folks, older folks, beginner to advanced, abstract or detail obsessed. It's for birders, herpers, plant nerds, mammal or marine life lovers, wannabe entomologists, puzzle lovers. I like to say can't sit stillers or inner stillness seekers. It's very accessible. You can use copy paper, you can use parchment paper, you can use wrapping paper to do it. I think it's the ultimate fidget toy, and it's not plastic, it's biodegradable. It increases your observational skills and your spatial awareness acuity. And it's a great way to indulge in, or to not indulge, but practice biomimicry, which is just looking at how nature uses engineering principles to just do life, right? Origami is play with proportions, patterns, and elegant solutions. And it's in a state of constant evolution with applications from fashion to architecture, medicine, and space tech. Lots of innovations, again, lots of technological innovations have happened with it during the past 50 years. And there's some origami documentaries of note if you would like to kind of check what those are, what those innovations are. Some of the origami artists I admire that I'm really happy to share with you. Ruth Asawa was a Japanese American San Francisco based artist and community arts education advocate whose sculptural works are found throughout San Francisco and in permanent collections at the De Young and Oakland Museum of California. Her story is absolutely fascinating, and I encourage you to learn more about this local icon. Tomoko Fuse is a Japanese origamist specializing in geometric, modular, and abstract accordion-like origami forms, whose books you can find everywhere if you're wanting to learn after this. Roman Diaz is an Uruguayan veterinarian and origami artist who masterfully designs origami birds, mammals, amphibians, and insects. I think his designs really reflect the love he has for animals. And currently on Instagram, I've been connecting with a lot of origami artists around the world. And one of my favorites is Secuat Leon, who is a young Mexican biologist and origami artist who specializes in mammals, insects, orchid, and hummingbird models. He has a wonderful collection called the Mexican Biodiversity Series, based on animals native to diverse Mexican habitats and orchids he finds on his botanical excursions. And this is an extremely short list, but one thing I've noticed is that many origami designers are avid nature observers, whether as a pastime or profession. And lastly, Leila Torres is a prolific and generous origami artist and teacher with lots of tutorials of whimsical designs in an easy to learn format. And she's bilingual in Spanish. So if you want to use origami as a teaching tool and would like to do so in Spanish, Leila Torres is your lady. A little bit about origami supplies and processes. I'm hoping that after this presentation, maybe you'll want to give origami a try again. I hope you do. The lovely thing about it is that you can readily go to your local library that always have an assortment of origami books that are useful for learning the language of diagramming origami, but there are also endless tutorials on YouTube by generous teachers of all ages and abilities. I've learned from children on there. You don't need special origami paper, and when you are just starting out, I recommend plainly colored paper so you can see your folding lines. And if you want to support a great small business, the Paper Tree in Japantown in San Francisco is a specialty one-stop origami shop that it's really lovely to visit. With origami, there's a few basics that once you learn the language of and a few folds, you can fold endless amount of things. So, usually you learn it by either somebody teaches you or you grab a book and start learning the language of it. And as far as, origami has had staying power, right? It's been practiced for now hundreds of years. And I always love the delight that it causes in people's faces when they, with a few folds, they come up with an object. It's just a wonderful feeling. Um, and I lost my train of thought, but anyhow, a few folds, and one day you too will fold really cool stuff like this crow by another origami artist I adore. Her name is Beth Johnson. We don't always start from squares. You can often start from triangles, pentagons, hexagons, soanagons. That's how you get five petaled type figures. And 3D origami is also a thing. I think a lot of people sometimes associate origami with like flat, um, maybe figures, simple geometric figures, but just some pinched folds here and there, and you can make rounded shapes. Generally, the challenge with origami is only to fold until you get to your desired figure with no cutting and no glue. But I recently was in a class taught by SacValley, and he totally is like paint your paper, especially with like hummingbirds that he does. The two-sided paper isn't always going to work out, or maybe you need more colors, and it's okay to paint your paper, and I definitely do. Some origami artists foil line their paper, so when you get to really intricate things, those folds hold much better, and you can sculpt your paper with really crisp lines. Some people treat their paper with this stuff called methyl cellulose, or yeah, methyl cellulose, which is kind of like a starch that helps keep the shape of your origami uh, figures. Some people wet fold. Wet folding is such an interesting also technique where you with a paintbrush you moisten the paper and give it shape as well. It's another way to sculpt the paper. And sometimes you got to use that glue just to keep things together. And there's novel techniques that have been used or have been introduced, and I'll show you a short little video about it.
A number of artists have broken away from
I hope you
traditional
can
paper
hear it.
folding and have chosen to crumple paper into organic forms. Vincent Floderer and several other French artists formed a group called Le Camp that specializes in crumpling paper. Although crumpling seems random and chaotic, even this type of origami is usually carefully calculated to create precise replicas of natural forms, such as mushrooms and corals. In his installation work entitled Unidentified Flying Origami, he has folded a universe of large, inflated, crumpled paper models of microorganisms that float and rotate via airflow. Here, folded paper is used to create an eerie, otherworldly environment in which we are the same size as these tiny creatures. Floderer is probably the first origami artist to explore the potential of inflatable origami in his artwork.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. And I was looking for my Matilla Poppy model because that is actually one of the models that I've created where I use some of Vincent Floderer's technique to get that big ball of pollen that is in the middle of that is a central feature of the Matilla poppy, but unfortunately I couldn't find it. So I'll move on to about my original work. So I've folded on and off throughout my life since third grade, and it's been 4 decades since then. um, origami is a universal language. I learned it from Japanese schoolmates, and I remember English was still not uh, there, right? And so it became a way to connect across the language barrier. Um, and yeah, I've kept it as a hobby ever since, on and off. In February of 2020, CNPS launched an Instagram campaign, the CNPS Art Challenge. I don't know if folks remember it here. And the call was to make one native plant inspired art piece every day for 2 weeks. So I'm going to pause here to shout out the creative ways CNPS has brought people into the native plant world. Looking at you, Elizabeth Cubby. I know a lot of botanists are artists, but not all artists are botanists. And this was the start of me growing relationships with other native plant artists and enthusiasts beyond my immediate circle. It was really fun. Um, Among some watercolors, drawings, and textile work, the CNPS Art Challenge was the first time I quickly put together some origami in an attempt to represent specific plants. So I think I had some blue dips there, and I can't remember the name right now of the other plant. I know this is a time that many of us would rather not remember, but it was right at the beginning of lockdown. It really became a way to bond with, learn about, and support the work of other artists and creatives as we all hunkered down in a huge moment of uncertainty. In a span of 2 weeks, there were so many mediums explored and ability levels shared, reshared, and showcased. And getting a spot in CNPS's Flora magazine was icing on the cake. And there I am on the very right. So for the most part, I didn't really fold much for almost a year, but in January of 2022, something changed. I had been play folding with no specific agenda for a couple of months, and one night I decided I wanted to try to shape a flower, in this case, a spring blooming shooting star. It didn't come out exactly as I would have liked, but this was something totally new for me. It felt like I was drawing with origami. And even though these were pretty rough, I shared them on Instagram anyway and began to get some enthusiastic feedback from folks. This is not an original design that you're looking at, but they are embellishments on a 3-petal modular origami flower by origami artist and papermaker Michael LaFosse. I loved that it resembled the Calicortus flower structure, the Mariposa lilies. And of course, the application of mathematical observations and concepts to botany are nothing new. And I am by no means an expert when it comes to math, geometry, and even origami. I fold from a very intuitive place, and I work from the most basic geometric shapes, which can be observed by anyone. And then I apply origami folding techniques I've learned throughout the years to try and get to desired forms. I also love paying attention, as probably many of you do, to the patterns, symmetries, structures, and rhythms that plants display. But with an origami lens, you can really pay attention to the fascinating ways the parts of plants arrange themselves to achieve their objectives of growing, pollination and reproduction, setting seed, etc. Sepal structures, the unfolding of petals, the arrangement of leaves, and how these compact structures are unfurled is also something that is endlessly fascinating to me when it comes to thinking about the origami of things. And there's a beautiful columbine in bud, and then as it opens, and yeah, it's just so cool to watch how nature uses all these um, I don't know, what do you call them? Well, bioengineering to do what it does and just causes endless fascination. Plants in their evolutionary march are constantly improvising, and that is a wonderful dance that I love about origami as well. So, for example, this milkweed flower, and milkweed is a flower that I've been wanting to fold, but is really difficult. Um, Started it just I had this random figure that I had folded on the left there, um, that just kind of reminded me of a milkweed structure. I don't know why, but anyhow, that just prompted me to start folding and iterating, and you just keep going. You just keep finding the form, I suppose, until you find something that you're happy with. So the first one of my first finished pieces was the coastal tassel bush, Garrya elliptica, which grows on the coast ranges for the most part, all the way. But there's different species that um, uh, there's that Garrya elliptica in the north part of the state, and I forget what the one in the south part of the state is. But this one is made from modular origami, so basically many pieces put together, and I added some crochet elements to this one. Um, I yeah, I just love how these nested together and gave that catkin type feel, and Yeah, I made a female catkin of the Garrya elliptica and the male as well. So unfortunately, I think there was a little bit of confusion that tonight's Zoom does not contain an origami tutorial. But if you want to get started on a fairly easy origami California native after tonight, a frying pan poppy is a great way to start. When we observe it, we see 4 petals arranged in a squarish shape. And there's already an easy to find tutorial for it. This model is just a slight modification on the origami hydrangea, which is a very easy tutorial to find on YouTube. So with all the rain we're getting, let's cross our fingers that we're lucky enough to get a super bloom. But in the years we don't, this native wildflower is a great way to make your own. And they just look really pretty when you make a bunch and put them together. And then of course, there's our state flower queen and icon, the California poppy. And you'd think, okay, 4 petals, 2 inside the other, usually cup shape. But it took me months to figure out a model inspired by this symmetrical wonder that grew in my garden this past year. So it's been a couple iterations until I finally got to the one I like. And it turns out I needed to start from an 8-sided piece of paper, an octagon, to get to the desired shape. The tutorial for my California poppy is available on my Instagram page if you'd like to give it a try, and I really hope you do. So continuing with more wildflowers, another favorite of mine are Collinsia heterophylla, which grow really, really close in some oak and bay woodlands um, in San Mateo in a park close to me that I could just get to whenever I needed to be among the plants. The challenge here was how to get the 2 color difference typical of this very whimsical flower. Um, and eventually I got to it. I don't even know how, which is how a lot of this happens. I don't even know how. The grid on the left is called a crease pattern, and it's another way origami artists share their work. They tell you which folds are mountain folds, which are valley folds, and which are reference folds. So after playing around, I copy down this. You unfold your work, and then you examine which folds are valley folds, which folds are mountain folds, and which ones are just reference folds. And then you transcribe it, and you get a crease pattern. So once you've practiced origami a lot of origami artists work from crease patterns, or it's an additional challenge you can take on, which is to crease what you see and then eventually just collapse the model into the base shape, which you can then define to your liking. So if you haven't already, consider this your reminder to sow your native wildflower seeds. The rainy season is the time to sow our wildflower seeds and put our new native plants in the ground. Try to procure your seeds from local sources or indigenous folks. 2022 was my first year sowing wildflower seeds. And not only have they been a constant source of inspiration, but it's been really gratifying watching all the native pollinators that come through. I'm not folding insects anytime soon, though. I'll leave that to the crazier people out there. So if you've ever folded a fortune teller, this is a model that comes from that base, or that I've tweaked so that I get a Clarkia-like flower, which I think is really delightful. So speaking of community, I am nuts about Calicordas, the Mariposa lilies, but I have not seen but one myself. Luckily, I can vicariously see the ones friends share or folks share on Instagram, on social media, or on the CNPS group pages. And these are from friends in Southern California. Some amazing Calicordas that grow in Southern California. So here I took the same concepts from the previous model that I showed you that reminded me of Calochortus and improvised it on it to get close to the Calochortus shape. And these are fun because you can paint the petals, and Calochortus gives you so much inspiration to either try to mimic what the patterns are like already or to create your own. Um, Gosh, this would be a fun one to put in the salad spinners and just let some paint go on them. Get some cool designs. So the next one that I talk about social media. Social media has been really a point of connection for myself. There's a lot of folks I think that are here that are my buddies on social media, and I have yet to meet you in person. But and I thank you for being here. Um, but yeah, just following other people and what they see is a great source of inspiration. This I saw from somebody who goes by the handle Joe Bro Botanist, which I haven't seen in person. And yeah, it was I ended up figuring that one out and painting the paper with watercolor to um, get that beautiful uh, color that it has on it, pattern. And as I keep progressing in this journey, I'm sometimes making modifications to reflect now similar species of the same genus. So I'm being able to just modify slightly or paint a little bit different to get different species. Um, and foliage also I'm starting to do a little bit more of, and sometimes that's now the inspiration to figure out a new model. The prior um, beach morning glory leaves were with those heart-shaped leaves reminded me of wild ginger, and I always see wild ginger whenever I'm on a hike in a redwood forest type environment. They're just so conspicuous. They're bright. They're that heart shape. So it's really easy to spot the leaves of wild ginger, but the flower of wild gingers has eluded me. But that's okay. I can fold my own now. So until I have it in my garden or see it in person, um, yeah, I now have a wild ginger flower that I've designed. That one starts from an equilateral triangle. Um, and there is the crease pattern that I use to get to the base shape. That's something that first I have to get all those creases, collapse the model, and then I can shape out all of the details. So lastly, I had shared the Beach Morning Glory flower shape, and those actually came first from working on Toloache, on Sacred Datura. This one is fun. This one's been a whole journey. This one just started from some origami play, and I uploaded this picture to social media, and my friend Mari had made a comment that it reminded her of Datura. And so like, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, but Datura is the five petaled or pentagon type shaped flower. So let me cut out a pentagon and kind of play with that. So I started trying to model it out. And Sacred Datura, when it's unfurling, has that wonderful cosmic spiral um, shape in its bud. And in order to get that, I've finagled little tools. So this is just 5 straws together, which I put inside of once I have like a five, what do you call it? It's like 5 sails, five flaps on a model. And I put each flap in between one of these, and then I give it a twist, and that's how I get the spiral shape for Toloache. Um, and yeah, this one's been just such a fun one to play with. Eventually, I did get to a flower shape that I was really, really happy with. Those buds unfurling, the long sepals that the flower come out of. And that is on the left is the crease pattern for Toloache once you unfold it. So yeah, eventually, hopefully I'll be able to share these a little bit more readily, more easily, and getting these crease patterns and the process is all part of that. Um, and eventually, one day I was at the American River taking a hike, and there's some beautiful driftwood that collects there. And I created this piece, which won first place in the CNPS art contest that happened with the conference that just happened. So yay! I was really happy about that. That was really surprising. Um, but yeah, this is where my journey has taken me. It's been a wild, fun ride, and um, I really have, a lot of folks to thank for their enthusiasm as this has been happening. It's so funny because I'm just sitting here in my little office space, in the evenings, folding paper and sharing it on Instagram. But shout out to Brenda Kyle and Anjali Berger at Theodore Payne Foundation, who got really excited about my work and invited me out to give some classes, to give a class there. Um, and that actually made me make a lot of models because I didn't have many at that point. But yeah, hope what's next? I don't know. More models for sure. I have more models that are coming. Yeah, I've started something that I'm just going to have to keep going with now. I'm hoping to display these a little bit more and continue the native plant advocacy with them, either as a teaching tool or um, art brings people in, right? And we talked about, this was talked about at the native plant conferences. When you're wearing, like a lot of you noticed the earrings, which were made by my friend Liz Lopez. Um, when you're when people get captivated by the beauty of something, they begin to ask questions. That's a way to get in, right? To start asking questions and teaching and learning. So yeah, if y'all want to tell me tonight whether you have interest in person or Zoom origami, I'm definitely fielding that interest. Um, I'm hoping to make more connections and collaborations with paper makers, uh, anybody who's making native plant derived color or dye, ceramic artists, because these flowers need a cool place to be set in. And any other origami artists out there. We're a global community, but it is sometimes hard to find each other. You can contact me by email, ec1415@gmail.com. And the best place to stay up to date on what I'm doing is my Instagram at mamigami. Um, yeah, so thank you. Keep learning, keep growing, keep supporting each other, keep planting native, and stay safe during these next few weeks. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Esme. We had a couple questions come through, but I think you may have already answered them. Somebody was asking, how they might be able to contact you, and so yeah, your email and Instagram were posted, and if you didn't catch that, maybe we can post it in the comments to everybody. Esme and I have definitely talked about potentially doing a class for SacValley CNPS. And if we can work out the details on that, yeah, we would definitely love to set that up. What else?
Thanks, Maddie, for sharing my Instagram handle.
Someone is asking where you are located.
Yeah, I'm in Sacramento, but if you are interested in some Zoom origami, I am getting set up to do that. Happy to share it with folks. Yeah, like I said, it's a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't do origami. I don't have the patience." Well, it helps you build patience. So
Someone posted in the Q&A section, have you tried making Dutchman's pipe, Aristolochia californica?
oh my God. That's on my to-do list. My fantasy origami model list.
All right.
Oh, and I saw a comment here from James Ojas Castro, who is I did not get. I don't think I didn't see the slide where he was. I had you on here, but now I don't remember mentioning you, James. James is also an origamist, a young origamist, an ethnobotanist who explores the process from plant to paper making, and especially in traditional and ancestral ways of processing plants to paper from all around the world. And then he folds them into wonderful origami models. So James Ojas Castro, who is Manila Folder on Instagram, he also is somebody else, another young person to follow. Yeah, join the origami community, guys. There's a lot of fascinating people in there. Where did I get my polymer clay shooting star earrings? Those were made by my friend Liz Lopez here in Sacramento, biologist extraordinaire. And thank you for the compliments, everybody. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Esme. This was a wonderful presentation. We had really great attendance tonight. I'm so happy that so many people were able to attend. Again, just wanted to mention about our Gardens Gone Native tour, April 29th, I believe I said earlier. It is a free tour, free to sign up. So please do. It's a great way to meet other Native gardeners, see what's feasible on different types of sites, small sites, big sites. So it's a great way to check out what can be done. So we hope to see you soon at one of our future events.
Oh, can I give a quick plug for our future event? So, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the last name right now. Next month, we will be having another artist who will be sharing another way we can make art with native plants, and that is Latifat Apatira, who goes by the handle at Titi Layola on Instagram. She's going to be presenting, so yeah, I'm really excited about that. Yeah, plug for next meeting.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Leslie.